Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Oh, yeah.
Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea. With their keys to the cage and the devil to pay, we lay to fiddler's grave. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo ho, all together, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Yeah.
The bell has been raised from its watery grave. Do you hear its sepulchral tone? We call to all, pay heed the squall, and turn yourself toward home.
All right. Yeehaw. Good evening. It's time for that Trump Assassination Files show. That's right. Come on down and join us. Yes, hoist the colors. It's time to go to war against this corrupted deep state. Long overdue. Everybody, all the players are being exposed, and well, they don't like it. Frankly, I don't give a fuck. Okay, that's what I'll tell you. Got to keep an eye out over here on Revolution Radio. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Howdy, howdy. Hope y'all are doing well, man. I am telling you, crazies, idiots, and everything else going on. Standard operating procedures. Okay. Yeah, Donald Trump stuck his infected pecker into this Israeli thing. And yeah, so Donald Trump is essentially, what's a good word? Trapped, by Iranian and Israeli policy. Okay. He's been had like a cad by these Israelites, man. I am telling you. Yeah, Donald Trump said he's going to fondle Bibi Netanyahu, and Bibi Netanyahu knows who's the boss. Donald Trump thinks he's Bibi Netanyahu's boss. Good fucking luck. Howdy, Flippy. Hey, good evening there, geese busters. Yeah, God bless you, man. Woo! I'm telling you, I better check Rev Radio. I'll talk right through that crap. All right, we got a an intro coming up in a second, and I think that's it. So yeah, get ready. We're returning back to the show. Got about 30 seconds till we go live on Rev Radio, and we'll blow it all the fuck up. I am telling you, I got all kinds of shit. I must have oops, shit. I lost that track of how many, got 140 different links and stories for tonight if they all well pan out. Okay. Of course, they're cross referenced and everything else. So get ready. Here we go. Yeehaw! It's time for the Trump assassination files. Yeah, chasing after the political assassination of Donald J. Trump. Of course, they have a plethora of so-called grand jury investigations going on into Obamagate. Certainly wasn't Russiagate, it was Obamagate. Yeah, if you listen to these Trump assassination files, you know that. Okay. So, evidence coming out about Barack Obama and his flip flop on Russia is or isn't interfering with the election in 2016. Yeah, the Democrats have really pretty much shut the fuck up, okay? Because they were caught red handed spying on the Trump campaign. I can't believe that Joe DeGeneva has not brought charges against James Comey um, for, let's just say for traitorous and seditious behavior when he was told 4 times in person, one time by phone, and 2 other times by emails that Carter Page was an asset of the CIA. James Comey ignored all of those warnings in 2016 and allowed the FISA warrants against Carter Page to be issued. Okay. There is questions whether, there has been any investigation into the internet traffic that was of the Perkins Coie FBI based, what would you call that? Terminal. Okay. And I really don't know. I can't say um, how many lawyers, Democrat lawyers, have direct connections to the FBI mainframe and maintain a secure line through and to the FBI for their own, search purposes? I'm just asking. Trump's Mega Inc. sitting on top of $350 million. And the Republicans want to see it turned over to their committees. The grand old party and a bunch of old crooked fucking bastard, grubby old bitches or grubby old parasites, maybe is the best way to describe the GOP. Okay, just as bad as the DNC. The DNC, what's that? Oh, that's an abortion method. Yeah. I mean, great. That's what you got in America. You got a fucking abortion or you got a parasite. Take your pick. That's what we have to choose from government. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, it is idiocracy, the standards that we live with today. Okay. Where should we start? I guess we'll go over to Trump's failed foreign policies. Multiple policies, completely failed because he's just going along with what the deep state, what Israel, what Trump's handlers from the New World Order, what they want Trump to do. He just goes along, paddles along like a little boy in a pond with his canoe, following right along with what his controllers tell him to do. At this point, Trump is so brainwashed by briefings, meetings, and memos. Number one, he doesn't have an independent thought in his fucking brain. Okay. I mean, you just can't because you're literally being told, you're essentially being told, what color your socks are that day, in meetings, okay? And everything else in the world revolves around that. So, all these meetings and briefings and memos put toward Trump are like supposed to be the gospel of government truth. So the president can make a decision. And well, we know that that's not, often the way it is. We know that the president is brainwashed, okay? Just fucking brainwashed, all right? I can't believe that Donald Trump, at this point of what Dr. Fauci did during his administration, what the National Institutes of Health and what the Food and Drug Administration has done to America in the big fat lie about COVID, which was used to what? Which was used to overthrow the election by the CIA fucking A. Okay, let's be honest. The CIA overthrew the 2020 election because they didn't want Donald Trump to run back-to-back terms. They needed 4 years of what? Of plausible deniability or pardons across the board, or even a 4-year head start on the statute of limitations. So let's be honest about the overthrow of the United States government as it happened in the 2020 election, and that every patriot was correct. They were right that the election was overthrown. Today, we know the 314,000 votes that were illegally counted in Fulton County, Georgia. Okay? More than 120 Justice Department people are on the ground there going through all of this other stuff. And I think these motherfuckers actually believed that if they took everything and threw it in a pile and mixed it all together, that nobody could unfuck the story and couldn't find the truth. I think that's one of the things that really happened with Georgia. I still believe that then Governor Brian Kemp, I believe that he should be indicted along with Rattensberger and other people in Georgia that literally stood and what do you call that? They interfered with any investigations that were going on. In fact, they shut them down. All right. In Arizona has been now found to have pulled a bunch of funky shit during the election. And that the truth is that Katie Hobbs and the Attorney General were probably falsely elected in Arizona. And that it's more than likely that what's her name won? I forget, the reporter woman. But yeah. Also in Arizona, in Maricopa County, where the election board literally cut out the registrar, the county registrar, from all of his duties, and the outgoing guy illegally assigned those duties to his Democrat friends on the election board. Those lawsuits have gone through and have been, well, let's just say the statutory power cannot be reassigned at will by any low-level fucking state of Arizona employee or Maricopa County employee, okay? They can't literally override state law and the duties assigned to different offices, okay? This is kind of the petty tyranny that we have going on across America, okay? I mean, it's just the truth that nobody often wants to say. Mitch McConnell, that's right, Mitch McConnell is said to be brain dead. He is said to be Scott Jennings said he talked to Mitch McConnell today, and while MAGA demands a proof of life and proof of brain function. Now, here is the whole thing that's going down with Mitch McConnell and his Senate seat. Right now, if Mitch McConnell was declared incompetent to perform the functions of his office, okay, Mitch McConnell would be relieved of duty, so to speak, 25th Amendment did. And there would be a special election. These fucking clowns are trying to wait until August the 9th, August the 7th, or August the 9th, when the timing will continue to get close enough to the election that they will not have another election for Mitch McConnell's seat. The Kentucky governor will appoint someone to that seat. So it is imperative right now that we know and understand the real cognitive ability of old Mitch McConnell. Don't forget, as Mitch McConnell laid unconscious, his wife ran and spoke with a Chinese vice president. Okay. That's believed, I don't know if it's true or not, but it is believed that she's a spy and that she's been a long time spy, just like a lot of these motherfuckers and Nancy Pelosi's, Barbara Boxer's, rounds with the Chinese, Fang Fang and Bang Bang and the rest of them out there on the West Coast. And of course, don't forget all the Chinese spies and shit that have been on the New York governor's office, okay, and state offices, okay. I would say that Chinese espionage is a big thing that is going on today, okay. So Mitch McConnell, Trump confidant says Mitch McConnell is brain dead. Well, do they want to have an election? No. They're afraid to have an election because if they have an election, you know who's going to run for the for the office, right? Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie got primaried by these motherfuckers that want to make Israel, that want to make America Israel again. Okay. I don't want that. As far as I'm concerned, we should make Israel goy again. Okay. That's the best way I know to say it. But yeah. CIA officers investigated for espionage. Why? Because they didn't take the COVID vaccine. All right. This is how suicidal and homicidal and that our government is. That if you were in the CIA and you didn't take the shot, they literally put counter espionage spying efforts on you to check on you. As far as I'm concerned, if you took that shot and you have any kind of half-assed intelligence about anything, maybe you should have your security clearances checked and the people that got the shots, okay? Because what we do know is that the shots harmed people, okay? They didn't cure COVID. They didn't have really a mother effing thing to do with the COVID pandemic of a 2018 genetic therapy where a furin cleavage spot was created in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Actually, it was formed in, I believe, North Carolina. And then it was that weapon that what do you want to call it? That weaponization of COVID and the gain of function experiments were sent literally around the world. A lot of people think it's just Wuhan Institute of Virology. No, The United States had more than 140 bioweapon labs. We had 32 in Ukraine itself. This are some serious, serious problems that that we're having with the United States government and its so-called security services. Okay. Of course, if you're paying attention, Iran has blown up not one, not two, I think, but three different ships now in the Hormuz Straits. Okay, the truth is these ships were trying to move through without paying a fee, without paying a toll, without paying for the use of that strait. Okay. Now they were hiding or guiding themselves along the Omani side of the Gulf. Was, as I said before too, you have to be prepared. You have to know for sure that this was actually the Iranians. Okay, because the truth is we don't know for sure. Okay, well there it is. Hot war with Iran. Oil spiked again. I put $30 in the day. It was only down to like 332, and the Hormuz Straits is a severe threat again. But this is what happens. This is the typical cycle of, if you want to call it escalation, if you want to call it the norm of what goes on in the Middle East, of the cultural tit for tat and the battle and the for supremacy. Another part of that, another part of this is that whether you're aware or not, China, China is and India are their oil storage facilities are overflowing right now. They brought so much oil out so fast that even Iran didn't have any place to sell its oil that it had gotten out of the Gulf. Now the U.S. has pulled those export permits, so next thing you know, the U.S. will be trying to pirate all those Iranian tankers. So yeah, um, sheer it's not a good thing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, the U.S. cancels Iran's license to sell oil. This. I'm just saying, this is the latest. This is the latest craziness. Okay, that the U.S. has going down. Okay, I mean, it is. Um, it, it's stupid. Okay, I mean, it's just really stupid. State funeral procession is making its way through Tehran for former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini. Memorials taking place. Remember the children blown up in the school, the missile strike that hit a primary school. Those coordinates were given to the U.S. by Israel. Okay. So if you want to say, somebody said strike that spot, the Mossad did. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it is crazy. I guess the U.S. is there were Iraq following U.S. strikes, according to the state broadcaster. This is just today. So, war is going to ramp up. Of course, there was this funeral, everything, all the energies and all this shit is running, super stressed right now. So, the U.S. has revoked its license for Iranian oil sales, which to me is a joke. Okay. I'm sorry, but, if China, if Russia, if India, any countries want to buy this oil, they can. I think it's a, how should we say it? I think it's a bully tactic that weak nations use because they have weak politics. They have weak diplomatic skills, and I think the United States has very weak diplomatic skills in our diplomats that because mostly because they just there to lie. Okay, they're not there to tell the truth. They're there to gain an edge, one little edge at a time, and believing until they can push until until the world flops over. Okay, or the issue flops over. Okay, so yeah, what is this going to really mean? Nobody knows yet. Nobody knows yet, except that the U.S. Launched new strikes today after three ships were hit in the Straits of Hormuz. Listen, the Iranians are, are busy, partying and mourning. And the question is, did they say that they struck them? Because, as I said, I expect a big false flag from Israel, to stop this peace, any peace deal, any peace, anything in the Middle East. Okay, that's the whole. How should I say it? That's the whole failure of this Trump administration, for its failure to recognize where it is and what's going on the ground there. It's just a sad state of affairs. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on here. I the Today, I guess tomorrow, NATO is meeting in Turkey, and I believe Trump is going to be there. I know Macron and the rest of these other clowns are going to be in Turkey, and for this meeting, I just you have to understand um, NATO is a weaponized organization that is involved in color revolutions, just as it was involved in murders of European citizens. Okay, so yeah, I mean you should be aware of what NATO has done in Europe, where NATO troops themselves were responsible for a string of bombings, assassinations, and murders. And if you're not aware of that, then, well, you should look it up, okay? Bill Pult at the DNI's office is firing dozens of intel officials, firing them, getting them out the door. You have to, because their friends will not fire their friends. Associates will not fire associates that have been in and out of different offices, bypassing, talking to each other. People are not going to clean up the trash and clean up the bad elements of our intelligence services. Okay, that was, of course, part of what Tulsi Gabbard had a problem with. Okay, her own agency was spying on their boss, so they could essentially, outmaneuver, outrig, and run their boss in circles. So yeah, if you're not aware, the fight and the battle for the Epstein files is not over yet. You should be aware that there's a lawsuit, and the judge says, "Well, what about them?"
Justice's latest response raises more questions than it answers. Attorney Katie Fang, who is suing the DOJ over compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, says the government's newest court filing largely repeats arguments a judge has already rejected. Here's the background. Fang filed a motion seeking documents under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. According to her account, a federal judge, Judge Sullivan, ruled in her favor on a preliminary injunction and later ordered the DOJ to either comply or explain in writing why it had not. The DOJ...
The DOJ's response is basically the same old shit in a different day. And they say because there are national security reasons why these Epstein files cannot be released. So the United States government is compromised. It is compromised by the Epstein files and individuals within the Epstein files. The truth is that, all the files around 9/11, all of those are withheld because, Israel is probably too busy patting itself on the back, and Epstein never expected those to come out after how many decades after the attack. So yeah, I would caution and I would warn everybody. I don't expect much to happen, mostly because we need a civil war. I know that sounds fucked up, but there is a need for a civil war in the United States of America. The blood of patriots and tyrants alike, must be shed for the freedoms of all of us. You may not think of it like that, but that's just the truth, okay? Of what we have, what we know is going down, okay? Of course, 4th of July over the weekend. That's right. America's independence from Great Britain turns 250 years old. Meanwhile, there was a substantial number of people, a shockingly, embarrassingly large number of people, a percentage of people. Did you know that 47% of people surveyed, now they surveyed 2,000, I think it was 218 people or thereabouts, okay? They surveyed them and asked them, why do we celebrate the 4th of July? %47 of the people in America don't even know why we celebrate the 4th of July. Now, understand there's probably 47% of the people that don't even know how to use the correct bathroom. They're so confused that they don't even know what sex they are. The miseducation and indoctrination of the system has turned people into, well, to put it lightly, retards. Just fucking retards. How do you know that most of American people are fucking retards? Because these First Amendment auditors that are on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and all these places, right? Where they go to public areas to film, okay? It seems like nobody's that upset about a fucking flock camera, okay? But you have all whole rows of people that are just fucking ignorant about the First Amendment and their rights in public, okay? I have to laugh, and the other part of that is, of course, the retarded cops that come up and try to run people, off the sidewalk for shooting video. But it's embarrassing in America The level of civics education, the civics knowledge and everything else in America, people are shockingly retarded. They just don't understand. Okay. And the worst part of it is there's a lot of fucking retarded cops. I'll tell you, I'm sorry, you bunch of fucking retarded cops. There's a bunch of fucking police officers out there that believe that because somebody got a call and somebody said, well, somebody is shooting video out in front of a bank or a post office or wherever on the sidewalk in the public, and they go hog wild. Okay, they go Gestapo motherfuckers. Okay, I mean you know it's fucking just plain stupid. Okay, and crazy, and the idiocracy that we live in today. Okay, because we should know and everybody should understand that brainwashing works. If brainwashing didn't work, you would know the truth. You would know and understand that Donald Trump has essentially been persecuted. He's been lied about. You would know that Barack Obama was responsible for the 2016 election snafus, was for the illegal weaponization of lawfare against, well, General Flynn and everybody on the mega team that they believed that they could fuck with. Okay. So I pretty much I just pretty say fuck all these bastards. Okay. Um, we haven't seen any real um, accountability on a political level. It literally is just like the little fucking shitbags in the hood. Okay, all the little niglets in the hood that go around shooting, raping, robbing, murdering, carjacking, whatever the fuck. Okay, they always get a little slap on the wrist, or they get no slap on the wrist. Have you noticed that the accountability of our fucking political class is just about on the same level? That the only time you get excised from that system is when you fight against the uni party. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, multiple stories, like I said, today coming out with about Mitch McConnell. Okay. Some say he's brain dead. Some say he's on a ventilator. Somebody says, well, I just talked to him today, and should be a question. Yeah, here's the other question. Will Mitch McConnell ever be fit enough to return to office? Okay. The question, like Maxine Waters, is, well, no. Okay. Most of these motherfuckers are half brain dead, or were so mentally fucking retarded and elected in Democrat districts where I guess mental retardation is one of the leading qualifications to run for a Democrat office. Yeah. Meanwhile, up in Maine, Democrats are starting to pull some of their support for the Nazi, or the former Nazi, Graham Plantner. Okay, Plantner, a former Marine. God bless, poor bastard. Um, anyway, he faces sexual assault allegations. Okay, his girlfriends, which I don't know how many he had. Maybe he shopped around, whatever. But his girlfriends say that, he would try to slip his condom off in the middle of sex. That was one of the sexual assault allegations. Huh. Anyway, so yeah, she Plantner said he drunkenly forced her to have sex after she told him to stop, according to a Politico report. This guy, and here you have the New York Times, here you have the fucking Democrat Party saying, "Oh my God, look, we elected this guy in a primary. I mean, why didn't somebody tell us?" You're hearing this shit from Democrats right now, okay? And the truth is that there were multiple people talking about Graham Plattner and his divorces and his affairs and his let's just say, humping any tree knob that might be available, or a doorknob or whatever. So, yeah, where, how should I say this? People completely ignored it a month ago. Now they're still freaking out about it, okay? After they elected this guy in the primary for the Democrat to run in Maine, in the Senate race in Maine. Everybody should know that the Democrats switch out party members whenever the hell they want. You know what they did with Joe Biden. They had no primary. They just shoveled Joe in. And then all of a sudden they had to go with Kamala Harris because, well, Joe Biden was, he had been damaged goods for 4 years and nobody took it seriously. So, yeah. Anyway, it's sheer crazy. Okay. So, what's going to happen in Maine? I don't know. Of course, horror writer Steven Spielberg says, "I still stick with the rapist." All right. I mean, hey, he makes horror movies. Okay. What's he trying to write a script where they got a rapist Nazi that is running through the halls of Congress? In 100 years from now, Graham Plattner will be a Republican, right? And he run as a Republican. Well, I'm just saying because Democrats seem to love to change the truth about history. Okay, so yeah, it's more than nuts. That's what I'll say. Biden's illegal immigration invasion, the alien invasion. That's right, of course. Of course, this past week also, Donald Trump and the birthright citizenship decision from the U.S. Supreme Court that said if you drop a baby in the United States, you can airdrop it, you can land drop it, you can even, I imagine, if you're in the territorial waters of the USA, that baby is American. Okay. Now, of course, the what was it, 5-4 decision with John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, the conservatives that went over with the Looney Tune liberals. Okay, everybody should know and understand that there is no way in hell that an illegal immigrant that comes in the United States drops a baby should be an American. Sorry, there is a reason about the language. Okay, the language in the 14th Amendment. Okay, it talks about basically the freed slaves and the former members of the Democrat-led Confederate States of America being an American citizen again. They were not considered aliens. They were considered residents. See, there's a big a philosophical and a big literal definition difference, okay? An illegal alien is an alien for a reason, okay? That's why they're an alien. They just can't drop their fucking kid and their kid becomes an American. You know, the Chief Justice and Amy Coney Barrett and the other liberals got it wrong. It's pure and simple. It's a language. I don't even know if anybody talked about the language and the use of what is and isn't an alien and within the Constitution and everything else. I mean, it's just, it's a sad state of affairs. That's what I'll say. Okay. Trump says he made a special deal with Walmart. So I wonder how much that's going to cost us. Yeah. I mean, really. Huge deal where they're going to cut 15% off the price of ground beef. Okay. Let's see. Bump, 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 bump. The administration intensifies its affordability push to clear that capitalists, not socialists, will solve the cost of living crisis. No, they won't. They don't have a fucking thing to do with it. You know, the capitalists and most of the economy is for the fucking ride on the bankster currency. That is literally going down the toilet as we speak. That's why it costs you more and more. Look at the value of the US dollar and put that dollar value compared to everybody else, and then overlay a price of a cost of real of inflation of just pick a good, pick whatever you like to eat or drink or whatever, and look and understand. Inflation, my ass. It's destruction of purchasing power and corrupted markets that run bubbles. Yeah, I was looking at chocolate to buy in the store today because I'm a chocolate fiend. I'm not going to lie. I love it. And surprised I'm not a diabetic, full-blown diabetic, but when you sit there and eat a 5-pound chocolate bar in just a few days, yeah, anyway. So listen, be aware, watch your money, and if you can, insulate yourself as much as you can from the food costs, okay? Mega demands proof of life from Mitch McConnell. Will they get it? I don't know. I really don't know. I just think Mitch McConnell hasn't been able to function. He hasn't been able to be an effective anything in Congress, and he should have been fucking removed long ago. But they won't. They won't, because then they'll have an election, and in that election, Thomas Massie may run. So yeah. So that's going down. Okay. And it's going down, well, I guess bigly. All right. New York Times sat on the rape allegations of Graham Plattner last month, and trying to hide the evidence. So yeah. Federal Appeals Court rules that sex offenders have a constitutional right to live with their children. Now, I think this is out of Alabama. And, a convicted sexual predator. I guess that, I don't know. I know a lot of times in a lot of places that those people don't have long lives, okay? And I just think it's a sad thing, okay? It's a sad thing. Meanwhile, as the U.S. 250th anniversary continues, Sonny Houston on the view of a dead dog's ass said that she sees so many American flags that it makes her feel unsafe. I mean, give me a break, okay? Give me a break. There are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over that community, and I suddenly feel unsafe because there's a section of the country that has been co opted the flag, and they equate with being American or an American flag with white supremacy. Yeah, and that should never be a symbol of white supremacy. Well, white supremacy is the Democrat Party. I don't know where the fuck these people are. Okay. Republicans fought for a war to end slavery against Democrats who wanted to own slaves. I'm sorry that Sonny Houston has her head stuck so far up her ass that she's got it caught in her own throat. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is. But these people are fucking denser than a fucking what gold, platinum, or whatever. Denser than a fucking than a, what do they call those things? A brown dwarf star or something. Okay, a black hole. Yeah, the American, Anyway, so she's she's paranoid. Okay. I guess because she didn't see any gay and lesbian flags, that made her kind of concerned. Which I understand that from a liberal. Okay, they don't even know which door the side of freedom swings, let alone which way their back door swings. I guess it's a hard thing to tell liberals. Okay, use the front hole. The front hole, liberals. Oh, Mitch, shut the fuck up. A New York man has filed a First Amendment lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security because ICE came to visit him and about his because he is such a critic of them. Well, I think that's just too bad for ICE. Okay. Now understand that story is from NPR, National Propaganda Radio. Okay. Understand that this is, propaganda through the eyes of some butthurt liberal. And if you thought that the fake news was dead, you were wrong. If you thought that the woke went back to sleep, you would be wrong. If you think, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness has been kind of put in check and stopped, you would be wrong. Okay, liberals are as crazy and as idiotic as they have ever been. Okay. So, they will, continue to propagandize you and to lie to you. And if you think that the ABC, NBC, CBS, fake Fox News, if you think any of these piece of shit rags are going to reform themselves, you don't understand the name of the game. You don't understand that they aren't news organizations, but they are propaganda and brainwashing stations. And that is essentially what all of social media has been turned into. Ouch! Shit! Something just stabbed me. Ow! Damn it! What the fuck? Oh man, something just bit me on the back. Yeah, dead smack in the middle of my back. You know how that shit is? Yeah. What else we got going on here? Bump, 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 bump. Let's see. Let me come down here. Get 2028 presidential hopeful exposes a party civil war in the Democrat Party. Okay. Josh Shapiro sat down with Dana Bash on CNN's State of the Union and said the quiet part out loud. His party is being overrun by its socialist and far left flank. Bash pressed Shapiro on Daniella's Avila Chavela, who won the Democrat congressional primary for New York's 13th district, congressional district last month, running as an open socialist. Okay. Now she is just on the Democrat primary. So that's what she won. She hasn't in office yet, but the truth is, I don't think that she'll lose, just because of the craziness and the idiocracy that it is. These fucking people like Chevalier have openly said that they want to destroy the United States from the inside. If that is the case, I will, I will go to war against you motherfuckers that are trying to literally to use violence to overthrow this country. Okay, the Democrats, socialists, and they can't use the systems. And it's going to be the same way with the fucking Muslims and the Jews. Okay, these poor bastards. Listen, there have to be laws and regulations put in place because of social welfare benefits, and the Jews and the Muslims literally living off the system and bankrupting the system, having 4 wives, 1 on the books and 3 religious wives. It's the same way with some of the stuff with Jews. And they feel that both sides feel that we serve them because they're superior to us. Anyway, that's a problem. Okay. I don't see I don't see anything happening. Okay, these Democrats, socialists will get laughed at, and what will happen is they will cause how should we say this? They will cause elements of the society to literally to overthrow local governments because they don't they abolish prisons, open borders, end a deportation of criminals. At the same time, they want to strip you of your First Amendment, your Second Amendment. You're supposed to stay quiet and die. And not my case. I'm going to be shooting the fuck back as motherfuckers come in here. God bless them. I hope they got their fucking affairs in order. But yeah. So it's all a big fat lie. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Everything that the Democrats do, everything that these politicians to do today is a big fat lie. It's all positioning because they can lie. They have the right to lie in the middle of during their entire political campaign, just as Abigail Spanberger, the trained deceiver from the CIA, that she did here in Virginia, that she lied and lied and lied. And yeah, there you go. Okay. I'm just saying. Politicians have to be held to tell the truth and to fulfill their political campaigns. If not, it just becomes a set of deceptions, of outright lies, and will harm government in the future. I'm just saying. That's some of the stuff that's going down. Let me see, make sure that, yep, break just started kicking in. So we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, on Revolution Radio. Woo. So, yeah, lots of stuff going down, lots of stuff going sideways. Okay. Um, it's just it's just a lot of stuff going down. Okay. That's what I will say. Um, uh, let's see. Where is that here? Oh, yeah. Another a Republican. Oh, Greg Abbott, I think it was supposedly Greg Abbott or somebody was caught with their mistress in Europe. What did you think? You weren't going to get recognized? Huh. Imagine that. Okay. Yeah. So it begins as Democrats begin to probe Lutnick, one of for ties to the Cantor Fitzgerald deal. Firm previously led by Commerce Secretary helped USA Rare Earth raise private funds in connection with the U.S. government's investment. So, yeah, a group of lawmakers is seeking information from Cantor Fitzgerald lawyers about how the firm may have benefited from a deal run with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is, well, let's just say he's another one of these fucking gophers that need to be gone. Okay. And truth that nobody wants to say. All right. That Howard Lutnick, with anyone with any ties to Jeffrey Epstein, should be fucking shit canned. Yeah, and that includes Donald Trump. I don't care if they talked to the poor bastard on the phone for 5 minutes and told him to go pound fucking sand, you pedophile bastard. But they wouldn't say that. Why? Because they were talking directly to a representative of the Rothschild bankster family. Donald Trump, that's the other reason why they won't look at, because, well, you think they're going to look at the central banking system's owners? I mean, come on. Donald Trump is already begging and pleading to keep on the petrodollar and essentially doing, everything that the government wanted done. They're a bunch of sad, sad states of affairs. Yeah, it really is. If you're paying attention, about what's going on around the world, yeah, a Ukrainian woman that was suspected of bombing an exiled Ukrainian in Monaco has been found dead. Yes, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, claims that it was a rogue intelligence operation and that this intelligence officer took it upon himself. Now, magically, the woman who pulled it off, she ended up with a couple slugs in her cranium. Yeah, shot in the head, pop, pop. And the witnesses, everybody's gone. Somebody probably kept her money that she was supposed to get paid for it and everything else. Okay. The problem is, it wasn't sanctioned by the Europeans. It was just done out in a rogue status, just as the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, just as the Ukrainians just bombed a bunch of 5,000 ton a barrel oil tankers in the Azov Sea. Yeah, blew up like 6 of the motherfuckers. Expect this so-called pressure campaign that Donald Trump has, and the CIA. Remember, Donald Trump, Donald Trump doesn't do dick by him fuck himself, okay? He just, number one, he's too busy. Number two, he's literally given these meetings, briefings, and memos, and they lead him down the path to do whatever the fuck their bidding is. And you know, the truth is, it's the same way they did Obama when it was about Trump in the 2016 election. They fed Obama the same shit, the same lies, and hooked up the former president as being essentially the leader of a coup, directed by the intelligence services. Okay, let's be honest. You know, the first rapist, William Jefferson Clinton, you know, the dumb, retarded George Bush versus the high level Masonic traitor to America. What's his name? Herbert Walker George Bush. Hopefully, we're back. Yeah, we're back. Okay. I don't know how long we were, but I figured it was about time. So, welcome back, Rev Radio. So, there is rumors floating around that MAGA, that Make America Great Again, Inc., and the $350 million that they have in their political action committee, right? Guess what? There is a underground rumor that says and is suggesting, and this just may be another psyop by the Democrats or somebody else to define somebody something for something. Can you believe that they claim MAGA is going Catholic? That it is going to be hardcore Catholicism for the 2028 election bid for J.D. Vance, since J.D. Vance, I believe, is a Roman Catholic. So, yeah, there's those rumors. Okay, that's the other part of the reason why, the deep state wanted all that money. They did. They wanted all that money. So, yeah. But understand, the United States is how deep in debt? $39 trillion. Does anybody really believe that the United States of America is going to pay back $39 trillion of monies? Or are they going to hyperinflate the living shit out of it? You know they already have, right? I'm just trying to point this out, okay? That your currency has already been hyperinflated to pay for the $39 trillion in debt, and that's not going to work. Now, of course, the Russians are saying, look, the United States is just devaluing its money, devaluing currencies around the world in a war, so they can devalue their foreign debt.
Has blown the whistle on a U.S. devaluation scheme.
America is trying to change the rules in the gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember how much debt they have, $35 trillion.
Dropping a global bombshell this week, accusing the U.S. of plotting to erase its $37 trillion debt burden by taking said debt, shoving it into crypto, devaluing it, and then resetting the system with a gold revaluation. A series of moves that wouldn't just impact those using cryptocurrency, but would impact the entire dollar system, meaning your savings, your retirement, your paycheck. But the scariest part is that the plan is already in motion for our debt. None of this even takes into consideration the fact that these stablecoins could also be a Trojan horse for financial control over the American people.
And you should know and you should understand that right now, the U.S. has set up this quote unquote stable coin entity. And where is all the bad debt going? I think people need to be aware of this, okay? That all of the bad debt is being funneled into stable coins. It's being taken out of the dollar regime and it is being dumped into stable coins. Who runs the central banks? I mean, ask real questions. Yeah, these poor fucking bastards. They think they want people to think that the U.S. government controls the banks and they control the money and all this other stuff, and they don't control jack fucking shit when it comes to money and monetary whatever. The devaluing, the depreciating asset Ponzi will continue. And to clean up this so-called, dollar system, they're taking all the bad debt of the bankers and they're putting it in stable coin. Okay. You should understand that all the billions and billions of dollars that have already been moved over to stable coin, that over 75% are bad debt instruments that people will never get their fucking money out of. So, listen, this monetary system we have, it's corrupted.
Taking away our freedom and privacy, but back to the government scheme. It's no secret that as U.S. debt soars past $37 trillion, the U.S. is facing a buyer's crisis. Foreign central banks are dumping treasuries and moving into gold, a clear sign of declining trust in the dollar. In fact, as Kobiakov himself said, the U.S. is very...
Yes, that is true. Remember, everything is going to be a bubble. Everything you see in the economy, everything you experience in your life, whether it's all the things that you use in your life, they are all subject to these bubble shit. Okay. So understand, what is actually happening and what is actually going down. Let's see, Donald Trump looking for a light in the tunnel in Cuba may have found it. Castro's grandson says he is ready to discuss Cuba's future with the American government. Now, this guy, Rodriguez Castro, I guess is the grandson of Raul or Fidel. I'm not sure which, in all honesty. But he says, he's never held a government position. He's never held anything, and he shows up in this starched Santini green hat and starch Santines like he's some revolutionary leader. Ah, man, I wonder what cartel put his ass up there. I mean, really. Looks like Trump's turncoat, former fixer Michael Cohen, is landing a new gig on WABC radio. I would say that who gives a shit? Cohen will essentially lie about everything and will make a deal over for crimes that aren't for how did he do that? Michael Cohen, a retarded lawyer, made a legal agreement about some stuff that there's no law to. He did that so he could get off all these other charges. Okay. And it's a sad state of affairs. Cohen should have been jacked up and sent to prison for 20 years of the things that he did and the monies that he stole that even before Trump associated with him. Okay. Or in and out of whatever Trump shit. All right. Whatever. Okay. Trump has disclosed that he made 327 stock trades. That's right, stock trades before major tariff pause. So, yeah. No word on if they correlated with Nancy Pelosi's stock list or not. The U.S. fentanyl crisis has eased some, but remains the dominant killer of drug users in America. Okay? Yeah. An FBI mole wore a wire inside Gavin Newsom's inner circle. That's right. Gavin Newsom came out screaming and hollering, accusing the Trump administration of spying on him because he was going to run for president. And, and the truth is, the Biden administration started this investigation into Gavin Newsom. Okay. Democrat insider Alexis Podesta, no relation to John Podesta, a 45-year-old from a Sacramento consultant and Newsom appointee, wore a tape and secretly taped conversations for the FBI in June 2024 when Joe Biden was still in the White House. McGregor Scott, the former U.S. attorney now representing Dana Williamson. Williamson, 53, ran Newsom's office as chief of staff until late 2024. She pled guilty to a conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, filing false tax returns, and lying to federal agents. So, yeah. Anyway, of course, a lot of this came about the former, who was this guy, HHH Secretary Xavier Becerra, disguised the payments as legitimate consulting fees and trying to play funny money with campaign donations that were left over. So, yeah. It's crazy, okay? So, will there be any other crimes that come out of that? I don't know. But I'm sure that put Gavin Newsom and all these other people literally, on point to worry about what is and isn't going on. Okay. The CIA fucked America again. That's right. The CIA knew. They knew. And they classified it top secret. And then along came COVID. Yeah. Everybody, let's hear it for Horsey Pace.
He classified a 1950 study showing antiparasitics disrupt cancer growth and kept it buried for over half a century. Whoa. Here's the study that I guess recently became unearthed. Tell me about this study. What they knew, how long ago they knew that antiparasitics, meaning like things like ivermectin, were possibly treating cancer.
You can't even make this stuff up. So yeah, in the 1950s, the CIA obtained a document from Soviet scientists. It was actually a Soviet study where they did find that parasites and tumors exhibited similar behavior in the body, similar mechanisms of how they grew. They both loved sugar, they loved glycogen, and they feed on it, and it helps them grow. They found they work in similar ways. But the big part of that Soviet study was they found that the antiparasitic Mirasil D did exert anti-cancer activity in animals. So they literally tested it, and the tumors shrunk, right? And so the CIA had that document in the.
So if you think that your government is here to help you, it's not. Okay, the government is here to rig science, to rig medicine, to rig your government, to fucking kill you and destroy your fucking life. Okay, that's why I say Dr. Fauci should be strung up at the end of a fucking rope. He should be known as America's Dr. Mengele, in all honesty. Okay. And Donald Trump, ballless, gutless, got his head stuck up his ass. I don't know. Uh, or maybe he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know to the extent that Fauci lied about every fucking thing. And then when Fauci stood up there and Donald Trump talked about ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and some of these light therapies, you know, um, you know, Dr. Fauci's back there rolling his fucking eyeballs. When the truth is, Dr. Fauci standing on that stage with Donald J. Trump knew damn fucking well that COVID was an American genetic invention and that the gain of function was taken offshore and sold out with the CIA, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the fucking Chinese spooks in the system. Fuck them bastards, okay? That's why I say, what the fuck is wrong with Donald Trump? Is he really looking out for anybody? He doesn't really have a clue. He doesn't know what's going on. They've got him so focused and so tied up in this abortion war in the Middle East with the fucking with Israel and Iran. Okay. Once again, they have essentially, Donald Trump has destroyed himself by making bad decisions. That's the truth that maybe nobody wants to really say. Okay. Stop, dog, please. Okay. I don't know why. I'm going to kick you in the head if you don't stop. Now stop. John Brennan, the former CIA chief, has sued the Trump administration allegedly for vindictive investigations. Okay. I'm sorry, but I would volunteer to pull the switch on the electric chair for John O'Brennan. Okay. I would volunteer. In fact, if you make a firing squad, even though I'm a convicted felon, I would still volunteer for that firing squad. Just saying. Okay. Just saying. So, yeah. John O'Brennan. John O'Brennan should have been in prison decades ago. Okay. Along with that fucking, that ignorant CIA director that Trump appointed. Trump, you always knew Trump was kind of fucked in the head when he appointed Gina Haspel as CIA director, knowing damn well Gina Haspel destroyed the Iraqi torture videos in direct against direct orders from Congress. Okay. And, here Donald Trump is making her, the fucking CIA director. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, what does Donald Trump think that, after they got done fucking him over, having their way with him, that he says, well, they're all done now. They all done shot their political wad. So I might as well hire the bastards. Just more stupid on top of stupid. Okay. So yeah, it just it's idiocracy on steroids. Here it is about the Georgia election, whether you want to hear it or not.
Everybody's like, what do we do? What do we do? And kind of the prevailing wisdom down here is, well, just let it work its way through the court system. I'm like, that's not good enough for me.
What?
That's not good enough for me. So I began to work with our lawyers down here and just kind of investigate what could be done. And the Georgia Constitution actually gives the same authority to investigate the affairs of the state to the legislature as it does the attorney general.
Oh, wow.
And our attorney general was not doing anything. And so I wrote a resolution that said, we're going to form a committee. We're going to give it subpoena power. We're going to give it the ability to swear witnesses in under oath, which at our state level is not something that we ever do. And we did. And we fought Fani Willis in court for a year and a half, finally got her to come appear. She appeared on December 17th of last year. And what we discovered in that hearing was shocking. We discovered the coordination with the Jan 6 committee. We discovered the coordination with the White House, but she, of course, doesn't remember anything. And Nathan Wade, who was her paramour, who was conducting all of the work for her, in his congressional testimony, he also said, yeah, I know I billed for conversations with the Jan 6 committee, but I don't remember who I met with or on the 8-hour meeting. I have no idea who was there, and I don't know what we talked about.
No.
I know the same day that Jack Smith was appointed.
Now, see, here's the problem. I mean, no notes, no anything. I mean, at this point, all the notes from the attempted prosecution of Donald Trump and everybody else in Georgia by Fonnie Willis, okay? All of those investigative papers, all of that shit, all of those electronic files, they should already be in the custody of some state official who will make sure that, let's just say that stuff is not hidden
by the White House, that I was on a phone call with the White House for 8 hours. But I have no idea who I was on the phone with, and I don't know what we talked about. That's the same day, by the way, that Michael Colangelo left as the number 3 guy at DOJ.
That's right. And went down there.
And went to New York to help Alvin Bragg. So
that was the piece for me that really was like, oh, this is all coordinated.
Because who's leaving as the number 3 guy at DOJ to go?
Yeah, who's going to be the number 3 guy at DOJ, and then leave to go to to a prosecution terror cell, in New York City in Alvin fucking Bragg's office. Okay. This is part of the problem that we have is, the truth is back in the day, these sons of bitches would be taken into the street and beat mercifully, sometimes to death. It's the unfortunate truth, but that's exactly what you have and what you need. And we don't have that in America. We don't have real accountability. We have rapists, robbers, murderers, and thieves that literally walk away from their crimes. Somebody will lose their life, and somebody will do 5 years in prison for manslaughter, and for a knifing or a murder or some other shit. That's crazy. You have people like Tim Waltz in Minnesota, who just recently pardoned a convicted child molester who had been raping a 10-year-old girl. This guy was Laotian, was from Laos, and he had been in the United States and is a naturalized citizen. If this guy would have been convicted and blah, 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 he would have been deported. He was on the deportation list. And why? Well, because he's a fucking dirty, rotten bastard rapist. Tim Waltz has kept him in Minnesota to rape again. That's the, I guess that's the status of Democrats in America today. A judge has blocked the USPS ballot rule tied to Trump's election integrity order. That's right. It seems that election integrity there is none in America. Okay. Now the reason is because there is already an order to the U.S. Postal Service, a court order that says that all ballots must be essentially given a priority on election day. Okay. So every ballot, that comes in has to be counted especially quick in the U.S. Postal Service's system. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, wholeheartedly disagree with that because, look, the mail should be run through as they get it, as they dump it out, as it goes through the machine. Okay. It shouldn't be pre-sorted, and ballots run through by other mail. Okay. All I'm just saying is you're creating these special conditions that literally throw out the natural order and the natural procession of the chain of custody, and of course the date that that election may get stamped, when it may get to the post office, okay, when it will be counted. I think that's a serious problem, that the conflicted, that the finding that the 2021 settlement requiring the agency to prioritize the timely delivery of election mail. Listen, I don't believe, of course, it should be timely delivered, but it should all be done in the same absolute process. Okay. They shouldn't set up literally a separate election mail-in system and a separate ballot mail-in system. And that's what some places and that's what states are doing. And, this effort to literally replace in-person voting with mail-in voting is fraught with fraud. Okay. It's particularly in the case that you cannot get and you cannot have accurate voter rolls and accurate updating of those who are active voters. Okay. So the old standard Judge Emmett Sullivan ruled on July 1st that the USPS may not move forward with the proposed rule. Also, John Thune and the rest of the Republican Party has told America to go fuck themselves and to, listen, we don't need voter ID. We need voter ID. Okay. We need a real count on the U.S. Census of who is and isn't, a U.S. citizen or a naturalized citizen. If you're here working and you've had a green card and you're a permanent, whatever, transient, whatever, you're still not a citizen and you shouldn't be voting. There's an instance there was a woman just in, was it Indiana? I believe it was Indiana, where she has caught illegally voting. She is not an American citizen. And a number of years ago, she went into the DMV and got a driver's license, and they automatically signed her up for voting. And, she claims that she didn't know she wasn't, but the state had provided all this, so she did. Now, that woman was found not guilty by a jury. Okay. And I would tell everybody in the United States that always remember what jury nullification is. That is the ultimate power of the people in the courtroom. So if I were you, I would be aware of what it is and what it isn't. Okay. Let's see what else we got going down here. Oh man, these guys are always straight up and will tell you exactly what the hell's going down. It's Gerald Celente and Judge Napoli.
Nearly tripled in his second term, reaching $6.5 billion.
This is one of the reasons that I will hold my nose and hope that the Democrats capture the House. I can't imagine if I were in the House that I'd vote with them on anything, but I would vote with them on all the investigations of Donald Trump. They will unearth how he acquired every nickel, and the public might be scandalized.
Oh, how about his little boys? How about all the dough they made?
Correct.
How about Witkoff, Jerkoff, Lutnick, Shitnick? How about their kids making all this dough?
Same thing.
By the way, Trump's never.
And then motherfuckers, listen, here's the thing. You know what they don't want to tell you? They made it the same way Pedo Joe and his family did. They made it the same way Trader 44, that suck-ass fucking cocksucker. the immigrant from Kenya. Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, it is it's unbelievable. Okay, how the CIA literally uses the first family as operational tools against the president, whoever it is. Okay, I just believe that to be true. And once that president is in the fold, they are compromised. And it's clear, and I think it's clear, and I think it's compelling evidence that Trump has essentially been compromised. Now, whether it is because of the blackmail Epstein files, which is more than likely, okay. Trump's handlers, just like Biden's handlers, do not want to be on record. Okay. So, if anybody that's really in Congress, or anybody, when you see them, you ask them. Ask them. Ask them, is it true that, Joe Biden and his family were essentially, agents, with Hunter Biden going around the world doing the dirty deeds and the dirty deals, and Joe Biden and the family literally doing the carrying the load for the CIA in, international espionage circles? I think that really has to be asked. And if that's the case, then then most of this stuff that has to do with Israel and has to do with Ukraine and all this other stuff, all of that, of course, is an agent political trap for Trump and his family. I'm just saying, it's absolutely fucking nuts what these people are doing and what they have done. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Trump briefed on all-out war plans. Still eyes diplomacy. Listen, Trump believes in the taco thing, and as long as he can keep kicking this Iran thing down the road, he will let it. I don't want to say fester. I don't want to say boil. I just want to say Trump will let it steam off and try to fix it that way. I don't think that's going to work, because the simple fact is that Israel knew exactly the way that they were literally tying up and tying down the United States government in a bondage style relationship with these fuckers in Israel. Okay. So as you can tell, I really, I have zero for Israel, and I may have a -1 for the Muslims. So, between the two of them, they're not even on even ground. Okay. So, of course, that last report was about Trump, who reported 1.4 billion in income from cryptocurrencies in 2025. That's so, yeah. I just think all of this is a trap. I just see it as use and abuse of the families of our politicians by the intelligence services. And these people have been pimping out and paying our political leaders for so long that I don't believe that they can stop, number one. And number two, it's business as usual. So, yeah. Let's see what else we got going down here. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. McCullough, a bioweapon release that the MSM is essentially hiding the fact that Dr. Fauci and the rest of them ran a bioweapon against the United States. So yeah, and I don't buy all
Because
of
Boyce and the independent stations that are even covering this biolab document release is a complete blackout on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. These stations are so loyal to Fauci. They brought him on time and time again as he was lying to America that the SARS-CoV-2 virus came out of a Chinese wet market in Wuhan. So what Fauci needs to answer under oath with this most recent subpoena is, what did he know about the Wuhan lab? And, how many times did he have EcoHealth Alliance director Peter Daszak go to the lab? How many times has Daszak actually physically been in the lab? What happened to the diffuse protocol, the final piece that made the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein lock into ACE2 receptors and invade the human body? And finally, what is Fauci's overall relationship with the intelligence community, the Department of Defense, and the media?
Of course, he's a cog in the fucking wheel. COVID-19 was essentially the disruption for the 2020 election, so the CIA could rig the election. Okay? Problem, reaction, solution. That's what we see going down there. Okay? What else we got going on here? Oh, well, here's one for you. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. But exactly, what is coming and what is be aware is what I would say.
It speaks of that will set into motion. We always talk about globalists and the globalist agenda and all these things. It will be a globalized stranglehold on the human population, that they will know where you spend your money, where you get your money. Reminds me of central bank digital currency, if something like that happens.
So I'm embarrassed. This is being recorded. I probably shouldn't admit this. I've read Revelation, actually. Sure. I tried to understand it last year. I didn't realize it said, how did I miss that? It says you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast?
Without the mark, yes. That's
John, correct. The Apostle John, on some Greek island 2,000 years ago said that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so, So prior to technology showing up where it's at now in 2024, these things were impossible. How's that going to happen?
That's a pretty specific call, though.
Very specific. Yeah. So now all the things that...
Well, essentially, the mark of the beast is alive in China, if you think about it, with their central bank digital currency and the fact that we know that they have a social credit system. That social credit system, and the banksters in China literally lock people down in their own apartments. They have facial recognition. And, to think about it, it could be literally all of this in this panopticon surveillance system of everything. And, that's these are problems that you and I, are going to have to fight the government about in the future. And I really like Alex Newman. And here's a clip from Alex Newman.
Because it is the issue that transcends all the other issues. And if you've been paying any attention at all since like 1979, the federal government has been one of the most significant catalysts for turning our so-called education system into the present day dumpster fire that is harming our children so relentlessly. It's not to say that the federal government is the only reason, but the federal government took what was already a dumpster fire and poured jet fuel all over the mess, to the point where now we got 40% of our children reporting persistent hopelessness, sadness, depression. 96% of the children in California reporting mental health challenges. Less than 1 in 3 can read, write, do math, or any other core subject at even a proficient level. There's a bill right now in Congress, HR 2691, that would not only abolish the U.S. Department of Education, which the president, of course, has been very vocal on, but it would also end all federal education programs and transfer all of the funding and other issues over to the states.
Now, here's one of the things that is going down alongside of this. Okay, whether you know it or not, or whether you're aware of it or not, that the U.S. House of Representatives has or is trying in the process, trying right now to impeach Linda McMahon, Trump's appointee to the U.S. Department of Education. Democrats claim, of course, that she is trying to shut it down and eliminate it. And God bless, I hope they do. The U.S. Department of Education has been dumbing down children since its inception. How can we kill the minds of the future in America and have no feeling, have no remorse about it, and what our government has been doing in our name time and time again? Yeah, here you go. Here's a listen. This is kind of this is an adventure into the woods. Okay, you want to know how stupid? You want to know how crazy the world is? You want to know the real idiocracy that's going on? Ugandan general, that's right, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the son of the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, and the Uganda's chief of defense forces, has told Jay-Z that he will surrender Beyonce over to him. That's right. Anyway, the Muhoozi gave Jay-Z 1 week to turn over Beyonce, so he could be his bride. He offered him some goats and chickens and some other stuff. And well, what else is going down there? Oh, look, here's another one. Senior trooper stole money from a casino. And guess what? The West Virginia State Police covered it up. That was just something I saw on the way to wherever we were going. Anyway, understand that the nation that you live in is compromised socially, morally, ethically, economically. Do not expect a fair, equal shake. But what I will say is, don't be the dog. Don't be dogs down there fighting for like dogs over the shit that they fucking left. Build your own. Build your own systems. Build your own houses. Build your own places. And, the thing is, the less you depend on government, the better off you are. Remember the words of Ronald Reagan. That's right, who said the 7 or 9 most feared words in America was, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Yeah, anyway, it's idiocracy on steroids. Where are we at here? Executive order execution. 3 nuclear reactor projects have achieved what they are calling critical mass before July the 4th and are moving forward. Understand that the United States is in the midst of this, this crossover to a panopticon style surveillance state run by private corporations, run by fascists and Marxists. The United States government has partnered with these people to develop a total information awareness program against the Constitution, against the will of the Congress, but the United States intelligence services went and did it anyway. They partnered with private sector individuals and companies and developed technologies and algorithms and cultures and social media. Social media is a construct of the intelligence services. It is just a massive spyware platform. If you don't understand that by now, God bless you. You should be aware that you're being brainwashed every day in every place in America. And that itself, these are crimes against the people because you should be able to think freely. Okay. New strikes on Iran significantly stronger than earlier attacks as the Iranian Republican Gulf targets the U.S. Navy. Two most critical elements of the deal are now under threat: oil sanctions relief and safe passage through the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. At least 19 suspected heat-related deaths reported in New Jersey. Oh man, hot and humid conditions are set to persist, and that you should take precautions. Okay, and if you are in a place where you cannot get any relief from the air, from the heat, there are fire stations, there are police stations, and there are other places, community centers that are cooling centers and have air conditioning running. They have some down. They have one open down here, and that's how I know. But I know they do it other places. Now, France, the one of the environmental ministers in France has come out and blamed the United States of America for the heat waves that are hitting Europe and the United States right now. So yeah, there you go. Imagine that. She says that because Americans use air conditioners and to cool the air in the house, that those caused, the global warming that Europe is experiencing right now. Okay. Let's see. Of course, the U.S. is hosting parts of the World Cup soccer tournaments. That has gone kind of sideways as one of the U.S.'s the United States star player had been red carded and banned from playing. Trump put pressure or called FIFA officials, and they said, okay, he can play. So this guy played in a match between the United States and Belgium. Belgium won 4-1 or 5-1. I'm not sure which, but they kicked the U.S. ass. The U.S. is eliminated, and the truth is, we were always going to be eliminated. We aren't a contender for the World Cup soccer, and that's just the truth, okay? So, yeah, get a grip. Oh, God, poor California activists in California are pushing Black English. That's right, Ebonics. The Valley Gibber word of the movie Idiocracy. Yeah. Progressive California education activists are urging the state to recognize Black English. That's right, in preschool classrooms, claiming the approach could strengthen literacy development and affirm the language spoken by many Black people or Black children. Imagine that. Yeah. Imagine being such a large group of illiterate motherfuckers that don't want to learn English and can't learn English because of why? I don't know. Sad state of affairs. That's, English should be English. But then again, African American English, are we going to literally have multilingual English programs in America today for these idiots? I'm just, yeah. I'm just, I just don't give a shit, I guess. I'm burnout. All this craziness and this idiocracy and everything else. So, hell, I'm sitting here getting ready to end my fucking stream 5 minutes early. Sorry. God bless America. It's just been a kind of a longish day for me. Let's see. The Pentagon running out of money. Well, really? No shit. The Pentagon running out of money? The Pentagon never runs out of money because it's always your money. Did you run out of money? Well, don't you worry. Just like the state of vagina. Yes. This came for me today from the state of Virginia. A bunch of fucking retarded bastards. This is the 5th time since June of last year that they want to bank levy my bank account. They can't touch it because it's VA disability, okay? And they're crying and they're bitching and they're moaning, but the Virginia didn't stand up for the mortgage holders and the people that got fucked by the banks, okay? So I said, fuck their state taxes. I said, fuck federal income tax. And, well, I was doing pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I was doing really good. 260,000, worth of business a year, and the biggest, the biggest thing is, is pretty much cost of labor, which is me. So, but after I saw and knew what was going on with the mortgage crisis that was going on, and how all the banks destroyed all of everything they had about all the legal documents that they were supposed to hold on to for a securitized instrument, and the banks just threw them in the trash. And then when it came for time to people that might get foreclosed on, the banks had to what? The banks forged the paperwork, the contracts to show the bank or to show the court that they had a contract. Maybe they did have a contract, but they removed themselves from that equation when they ended their fiduciary duty and kept the documents. And therefore, literally, it's my belief that if the banks destroyed these documents, they essentially destroyed their hold on the loans. Always remember that the U.S. Justice Department and Barack Obama, they bent the fucking homeowners over and fucked them royally. Barack Obama took the $100+ billion that the banks were paying for penalties and for these faulty and bad mortgages. They took the money. Instead of the people getting their houses, they foreclosed on people's houses, and the government, the government kept the money. The government then sent the $100+ billion of fines. Let the banks give it to Democrat, liberal, non-governmental organizations as donations. So, yeah, understand, why you were, quote unquote, left behind in 2008 and how the left seemed to be magically funding trillions of dollars because they stole it. They stole it right from the United States government. That's what they did. That's what our current political class is. And that's what our current political class does. It isn't really doing any governing. The only thing that our fucking government is doing is what? Redistribution of our wealth, the wealth of we the people. That's why I say we must stop them dead in their tracks. And that's including if I have to shoot the bastards between the eyes. Take care, everybody. We'll see you Thursday, God willing. God bless. Good day. Good luck. Revolution Radio. I'm going to close that out over there and keep yapping for a minute or two here on Rumble. But, you know, hey, if our government isn't going to listen, somebody somewhere along the line is going to have to pull a Bundy in Washington, D.C. Those are high stakes, deadly games. I shouldn't call it a game. It's real life. It's deadly serious. So take care, everybody. And remember that you change the world every day. God bless. Good day and good luck.